Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
He knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now,
Can't remember my roommate's name, but we couldn't get into our room, and two exotic dancers came down the hallway and said, here you go, let us give you a hand with that.
how about that?
I was 16. It was like, whoa. Mandy in Edmonton has checked in, by the way. She says, flashback. I did find glitter around an ex's house all the way into the bedroom. Now you know. No charge.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a brand new day, episode number 855 of your favorite daytime sports and entertainment talk show. I think it's an historic day, and in a moment you're going to hear how and why. That story off the top of the show was in Brandon. That happened in Brandon at the Keystone Motor Inn, and that roommate of mine that we couldn't get into our room, and we had the strippers helped us. He's now running a chapter of the Hells Angels. So that's a story for another time. Going to have a lot of stories today coming up on the program from Paterson Price, sports show out of Vancouver, and the Rink-Wide podcast. Jeff Paterson's going to join us to talk a little Vancouver Canucks and some Western Hockey League. And in hour two, Nick Alberga will join us. You know him, you love him from the Toronto Maple Leafs pre- and post-game shows on Fan 590 Toronto. He's now at Daily Faceoff and LeafsNation Network. So they're coming up, but let's bring in the Moose now, if you don't mind. Darren Moose DuPont, who's probably still smiling from the opening of the show. What are you listening to, Moose? What do you got going on there, man? Put your phone away, child.
I know. Something just went off on my phone the second before we went to air. So we're good now.
Gotcha.
Good morning.
Okay, good. Man, I got to tell you that yesterday's show was so darn much fun. And I know that we don't have to rush the warm-up here, okay? We got two full segments with you in hour one, and then you'll be back in hour two. The historic day today, I believe, is we're live on WQEE Atlanta. So can somebody tune that in and tell me for a fact if on 99.1 FM Atlanta we're live? Because I think we are. And it's been a long time since I've been on live radio, man. I think today we are, so I'm pretty excited about that with our guy Ryan O'Radio, who owns WQEE and a cluster of radio stations around there. He's going to make it happen today. And yesterday's show, Darren, you did the warm-up, the first segment, then you left. Did the viewers and you enjoy it as much as I did with Andrew Nowacki and Coach Mike Kelly, formerly of Valdosta State down there in Georgia? I just loved the day.
Yeah, it was good getting the old football stories and getting those guys into the show. And what I think is cool is just when you get to connect with people, old friends and new friends down in Florida, which makes for a fun show.
And Georgia too, man. I mean, I want to make a roadie. To Atlanta, but I'm not doing it without you. And if we can bring Lee in, I think that would be cool. Whoever wants to come to the Peach State, maybe whether it be a Falcons game or a Bulldogs game or maybe a Braves playoff game, I want to do that too. So yeah, making new friends and new communities, and life is absolutely fantastic. Director Jordan, can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please? We're going to open with baseball, but in our Quick Six, we've got NHL, Monday Night Football, Darren DuPont's first NFL Top 5 of the year. I want to talk about playoff droughts, by the way, because we're going to get to the fact that the Seattle Mariners have broken their 21-year playoff drought. And you viewers, tell me if you know who now is the team of the 4 major sports leagues in North America who now has the longest drought, because the Mariners are off the clock. It's a lot of fun to talk about. And, 0.6 NHL tonight, WHL tonight, and whatever else comes up with the viewers. So I was a little nerved when I went to bed last night and when I woke up this morning going, are we going to talk about what the people want to talk about that I keep remembering through 855 shows, Darren? It's what we want to talk about and the viewers. Let's just let it roll. So 0.1 is the Toronto Blue Jays have clinched the top wild card in the American League and will play their first round series at Rogers Center beginning Friday night. The Blue Jays locked up the spot Monday night when the Mariners dropped a 4-3 decision to the Detroit Tigers. Toronto defeated the Baltimore Orioles 5-1 Monday in a rain-shortened game. And as we all know, I think, Major League Baseball changed the wild card format this postseason, so now 3 wild card teams will make the cut in each league this year, along with the 3 division winners. So the Blue Jays, seeded 4th in the AL, will host the 5th-seeded team, either Seattle or Tampa Bay, in a best-of-3 series, and all games will be played in Toronto. The winner of that series will move on to face the Houston Astros in the best-of-5 American League Division Series. So, Darren, start spreading the news. They've avoided the Yankees so far. It's their first home playoff game since 2016 when they appeared in back-to-back American League Championship Series, and you see, I got my Jays gear on today. I'm into it. How about you? How did you feel when you saw the Blue Jays clinch last night?
Yeah, I think that's exciting because you start thinking now, how far can this team go? How good is this team? We've always wondered about their pitching, right? Do they have enough arms to go toe-to-toe with Houston or the Yankees? But, you're going to avoid the Yankees till at least the ALCS, which is fun. And we're going to get some October baseball. So I'll be dialed in.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they could win 2 series before they have to face the Yankees in the ALCS, and that's not even saying the Yankees are going to get there. And we're not even afraid of the Yankees. Won the last series in the Bronx last time the Jays were through there, but I will say this about the Blue Jays. This is what I like. Vladdy last night, I think it was his 34th home run that he hit, and the Blue Jays win at Baltimore. We're not hearing talk about Triple Crown. We're not hearing talking about a home run. Leading the American League in home runs or batting average. It's all about team. And I feel like that changed a lot on July 13th when Charlie Montoyo was fired, John Schneider took over, and it's all about winning and playing as a team and playing your best. So our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is, can you see the Blue Jays making the World Series here in 2022? And our COO, Lee Genier, said, talk Blue Jays, talk Blue Jays. Well, we're doing it today. And I think, Darren, I voted yes. I'm interested to know what you would vote. But here's the thing. It's not like hockey, and in some cases, even the NFL, and for darn sure the CFL. You got to be good to make the playoffs in Major League Baseball. You got to be good. Only good teams make it. So that means you're a good team. So we often say in those other leagues, just make the playoffs and anything can happen. I would think that's even more so in baseball because you're a good team. So I think they could get to the World Series.
Yeah, I do too. They absolutely have an opportunity to get to the World Series. Now, it's going to be tough. They're all good teams, but you mentioned that, you got to be good to make the playoffs. The Jays are a good baseball team, and, they can get there. And I would vote yes, they can get to the World Series.
Dude. Start spreading the news. WQEE Rock. We're live, baby. On your home of Southern sports and talk. WQEE Metro Atlanta. So on cue, Jesus Luzardo struck out 12 in 6 innings. Brian De La Cruz hit a 2-run homer. And the Miami Marlins prevented Atlanta from clinching its 5th straight NL East title by beating the Braves 4-0 on Monday night. So there's your daily Braves update on your official, unofficial home of Falcons football and Braves baseball, WQEE, and the RP Show. First, a word from our sponsor, Edo Japan. From hand-rolled sushi to bento box meals made with their famous teriyaki sauce, Edo Japan's menu has something for everyone. Moving on to point 2 in the National Hockey League, Cam Talbot will miss the start of the season for the Ottawa Senators and is expected to be out 5 to 7 weeks with an upper body injury. Ottawa claimed goalie Magnus Hellberg off waivers from the Seattle Kraken Monday. I know what you're saying. Who? Magnus Hellberg, the 31-year-old, is 2-2 with a 2.81 GAA in 5 NHL games with the Nashville Predators, New York Rangers, and Detroit Red Wings. I don't know much about this guy. He's played 5 games in the NHL, and that's 5 more than me and you, but with 3 different teams. So they got Hedberg there, but how much of a blow is that to start the season off for the Ottawa? Well, we know how big of it is, but what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a huge blow for this group, a young, excited, energetic group that's supposed to, really start to take a step forward. And this is going to be a real challenge. Now, they got enough weapons that they can, hopefully survive. And maybe Hellberg and what they have in goal will be able to solidify things for a little bit. But it's going to be a little rocky, a little turbulent out of the gate for the Ottawa Senators.
It's unfortunate. But Cam Talbot wasn't going to lead him to the Stanley Cup anyways. So I would say, Ottawa, dust yourself off. Work on your play from the crease out. And just be ready for when Cam Talbot comes back. The Toronto Maple Leafs took an early lead and never looked back, cruising to a 5-1 NHL preseason win over the Montreal Canadiens. Monday at Centre Bell. William Nylander. Willie Nylander scored 2 goals and 1 assist for the Maple Leafs, while teammate Alexander Kerfoot scored twice. Nick Robertson collected 3 assists for Montreal. Jonathan Drouin scored their lone goal. How do you like the Francais flair? Should I continue with that, or is it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Calgary Flames veteran defenseman Chris Tanev scored in his return, and Jacob Markstrom made 21 saves as the Calgary Flames defeated the Seattle Kraken 4-1. Michael Stone, Noah Hannafin, and Blake Coleman also scored for Calgary. Rookie Matty Beniers scored the lone goal for Seattle, who suffered their first preseason loss. And are they excited in Edmonton today? Dylan Holloway potted 3 and an assist, and Zach Hyman had a goal and 2 assists as the Edmonton Oilers skated to a 7-2 NHL preseason win over the Vancouver Canucks. Warren Fogle had a pair of late goals, and Tyson Berry also scored for the Oil. For Vancouver, Niels Hoglander and Connor Garland scored. The Canucks have yet to win in 5 preseason games. Jeff Paterson's going to join us later on this hour to talk about the Canucks. But those are 3 games involving Canadian teams. Darren, was I too hard with Bernie Nichols yesterday on the NHL preseason in saying, I found the games wanting, I don't see the players really trying. I see a lot of talk about bottom 6 positions at the forward position, 6th and 7th defensive spots. That's what the preseason's for. So should I not expect vets to try hard when I go to the games? Where are you on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of column A, a little of column B. You got to temper the expectations a little bit. It's not going to be regular season hockey in the preseason. You would expect those young kids, though, the ones battling for those bottom 6 forward spots or battling for the last defenseman or the 7th, 8th defenseman spot, to really be putting it out there. But, I wouldn't be expecting Jonathan Huberdeau or John Tavares or, Leon Draisaitl to be putting in maximum effort in the preseason.
Well, Huberdeau has potted in the preseason a few goals.
That's right.
He wanted to make a favorable impression for Cal. I know you're just throwing out names.
Yeah.
But when I went to the game last week, Florida, Carolina, I didn't see effort across the board. And, hey, let's quote James William Pedersen again. My dad, you don't need to win. And he would be shaking almost. But you damn well better be playing your best. You better be playing your hardest out there. You don't need to win, but give it your all. And I feel like, yeah, some of these NHL guys don't even give it their best in the regular season. But when I go to a game, I want effort. Is that too much to ask? And by the way, the Florida Panthers announcing this morning, was it this morning or last night, that all proceeds from Thursday's game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, ticket revenue, will go to Hurricane Ian relief efforts. So kudos and congrats to the Florida Panthers, who are fast becoming my favorite NHL team. By the way, I see watching in the YouTube chat, and I'll say it again, Ryan O'Radio, who runs WQEE, where we're airing live in Atlanta today. I can't wait to get to the break and check my phone to see if those Atlanta listeners have rallied and written in. 902-518-3033 is the number to text, 902-518-3033. Ryan O'Radio is my spirit animal. He just loves radio. Just loves it. And broadcasting overall. Other games of the National Hockey League Monday night. Nashville beat Bern 4-3. New Jersey blanked Boston 1-0. Carolina walloped Columbus 8-1. And I will say this, the Hurricanes are scoring a lot of goals. They are your preseason pick as the best team in the NHL. And I'm going to tell you, they're scoring a lot of goals. Pittsburgh beat Detroit 3-2. Colorado beat Dallas by a score of 3-1. Our NHL coverage is for Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Guys, tell Camco we're talking about them today, okay, right here in the warm-up. Find everything you need to know about our services, financing, product information, and more at broncoplumbing.com. We got the hockey fans in here. We got 2 minutes left of this segment because we're going to switch to a lot of football in the next segment. Tell me, folks, what you would like us to discuss with regards to the National Hockey. How about this? Hey, Pinks, the Pats are going for it. They're going for it. Looks like it. Todd Pinkney's written in and said the Regina Pats have made a trade. Breaking news, they've acquired Sam Aremba for second, first, and third round picks. Not all this year. Well, Connor Bedard stays.
How about that?
Sam Aremba is a first round pick of the Seattle Thunderbirds, man. The Pats are, you know him. You know the family. Yeah. We know his older brother, Tristan, very well. And oh, my gosh, I'm dropping my gong all over the place. There was a trade in the Canadian Football League this morning as well, and maybe we'll get to that after the break. Randy from Winnipeg says Brent Burns is going to have a rebound year for Carolina, and you better hope Max Pacioretty does too. He didn't play the other night when I saw Carolina come through here in Sunrise. From Andrew Stout in the YouTube chat, he says, French flair is appreciated, Rod. Bienvenue. Moose, when we come back, a lot of football, so dust it off. Your NFL top 5, your thoughts on Monday Night Football, the CFL trade, and whatever else comes up. We'll be right back. It's the RP Show on the Game Plus Television Network, live streaming on YouTube, and for the first time, live on the radio, on your home for Southern Sports and Talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love. Smoky in the air, it's a lot of
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
RP show continues, and indeed, I checked it out on the break, Moose, and we are live on WQEE Radio in Metro Atlanta, Hotlanta, as it were. So thank you, Rhino Radio. You've made me a very happy man. We make our triumphant return to terrestrial radio today. This is no small thing, live, although he has been airing the show in the evenings, 7 to 9 p.m. I will get to the comments in a moment. Don, our Navy friend, says Hockey Canada is getting raked over the coals at parliamentary hearings today. They are not doing the board any favors. Who is they? The government or the people representing Hockey Canada? What? There's one name that I haven't heard come up yet in any of this, and it's the key name. I'm waiting for that. Anyways, enough about that. Jumping back into the quick six show topics here. Monday Night Football. Full disclosure, I went to bed long before this game was over. Deebo Samuels turned a short catch into an electric 57-yard touchdown. Talanoa Hufanga returned an interception for a score, and the San Francisco 49ers upset the Los Angeles Rams 24-9 in NFL play Monday. Well, I think we saw last night why the 49ers were favored by 1.5 going in, didn't we? They're a better team, Darren. What was your take on the game?
Yeah, there was an opportunity for the Rams late in the opening half. They were down inside the 10 near the goal line, and they couldn't get in the end zone. They had to settle for a field goal. They went into the half down 14-9. That, for me, was the game. They had a chance to tie the game going into the half, feel pretty good coming out, and they couldn't get anything going in the second half. Jimmy Garoppolo moves the ball well enough. There's some great playmakers for the 49ers, and their defense now is one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. I think they're fourth when it comes to, scoring defense and the points they're allowing. So this is a group that, teams in the NFC should be worried about. I know they didn't play well last week against Denver, but San Francisco is for real.
Well, I know when you remember when John Lynch took over as the general manager there, however many years ago it was now, they were awful. They were terrible. He's led them to what? Yeah. 2 Super Bowl appearances in his time. They haven't won one, but they keep knocking on the door. John Lynch seems to know what he's doing, and nobody seems to want to give him credit, and I think he's probably just fine with that. Not that John Lynch. The Hall of Fame NFL safety, John Lynch. Just another NFL note, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out for Sunday's NFL game at the New York Jets. The MRI that Tua underwent Friday afternoon came back clean, said Coach Mike McDaniel. He said Tua still does not have a timeline for a return or whether the team will place him on injured reserve. It's Teddy time for the Dolphins, and I don't think they'll win a game without Tua. Your NFL top 5. I'm very interested. We do it all the time. I don't know what took me so long as we enter week 5, but we're doing it now, Darren. Your top 5 in the National Football League. Have you got them ready to go?
Yeah, I do. The number one team in the National Football League is the Philadelphia Eagles. This team has, a top 10 defense. They've got a top 5 offense. They're top to bottom. There's not a lot of holes. Defense, offense, special teams. And they're the only undefeated team left in the NFL. And it's for real. It's a real undefeated record. Philadelphia is the class of the league right now. Number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. And, again, we saw it on Sunday night, what they did to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Patrick Mahomes continues to dazzle and impress. They're number 2. The Buffalo Bills are number 3. Probably coming in, they had everybody putting them right at the top of the lead, but lost last week. Probably should have lost if it hadn't been for a little bit better decision-making from Baltimore. They were down 17, but they're still number 3. And here's where it gets murky in 4, 5, 6, because right now I've got to put Green Bay at number 4. Packers finding a way to win, but they got a scare against Brian Hoyer, of all people, and the New England Patriots. But they survived in overtime, and they're 3-1. Green Bay's number 4. And the number 5 team in the NFL right now is the San Francisco 49ers. I've got the 49ers, who are 2-2 at number 5. I don't look at the Trey Lance 49ers and what they did in the first 2 weeks. I look at who the team is today. And that team today, the defense is still good. I think it's the 4th best defense in the NFL. That defense, and now Jimmy Garoppolo distributing the ball, they're number 5. But the Cowboys and the Giants were flirting with it. Both 3-1 at 5 or at 6 and 7, I think. They're both flirting with the top 5 in the NFL. So it was interesting.
If the San Francisco 49ers played the Dallas Cowboys today, who wins? Dak or Cooper Rush?
Yeah, great question. And I think if you put them to today, I think the 49ers would be favored by the odds makers, maybe by 1.5, maybe by 3 at most. And it would really largely depend where that game is being played.
Okay. By the way, John in Edmonton's chimed in, and he's in the playoff hunt is if they beat the Bombers on Saturday and get some help a night earlier from the Tiger Cats, who host the Rough Riders. If the Riders win, the Edmonton Elks are out. We're talking CFL here, and I actually thought that the Elks were eliminated, were they not? By virtue of their home loss to Montreal on Saturday. That was the big talk on the broadcast. I'd have to go look. I'm just not thinking CFL today. Tomorrow we'll play Deal or No Deal, or at least look ahead to Canada's Game of the Week. First, a word from our sponsor. In theaters now, Landmark Cinemas, the movie Don't Worry, Darling, starring Florence Pugh and Harry Styles. Here's your story, Moose. Alice and Jack are lucky to be living in the idealized community of Victory, the experimental company town housing the men who work for the top secret societal optimism espoused by their CEO, Frank, anchors every aspect of daily life in the tight-knit desert utopia. Sounds like something we might be interested in. Text, when I come back to Canada, you and I are going to go to movies almost every night. Text movies now to 902-518-3033 to be entered to win tickets and concession treats from our sponsor, Landmark Cinemas. Text movies now, the word. Winners picked every week to go to the movies. So I said we're going to have some fun with playoff droughts here. Point 5, the Seattle Mariners will start their first playoff journey in 2 decades on the road after a costly 4-3 loss last night, Monday night, to the Detroit Tigers. Seattle assured of a postseason trip for the first time since 2001. Will open a best-of-3 series at Toronto or Cleveland on Friday with all 3 games on the road. Seattle has 3 regular season games left against Detroit, including a doubleheader today. Enough about that. We're all happy for the Mariners for sure. They had the longest playoff drought in North American major sports, which is NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB. Have you been doing your homework, Moose, as to who has now the longest playoff drought since the Mariners kicked that to the curb?
Yeah. Been thinking about it a little bit. I don't know who has the longest playoff drought in baseball or in sports, in pro sports. I don't. I didn't Google it. I didn't go to the big board, But I've got a couple thoughts on who might be the longest drought, but I don't know. Like, I want to say the Ottawa Senators are probably up there. It's been a while since the Sens made the playoffs, but they're not probably close. Who is it?
Well, by the way, I want to apologize to our crew for the connection issues today. I'm not sure what it is. I think the picture's fine, but it's freezing a little bit. But overall, we're fine. It's the NBA's Sacramento Kings with a 16-year playoff drought. Well, I know, right? They're forgotten in their own market, let alone by the rest of us. Does DeMarcus Cousins still play for the Sacramento Kings? Like, they're not even on the radar. That's what happens when you don't go on a playoff run. 16 years is the longest now in major sports in North America. Next, the New York Jets. 12 years. And you mentioned the National Hockey League, and I'm sorry, I haven't put you on the spot, Darren, for a long time. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I wouldn't have been able to answer these. If it means anything, I wouldn't have had these right either. Yeah. The Buffalo Sabres at 11 years.
Buffalo.
The Detroit Red Wings are next. 6 years.
Yeah.
Detroit. Who thinks about Detroit as a playoff ne'er-do-well, but they are that. And, how'd you like to be a fan of those teams, right? And the other drought that really matters to me is the Canadian Football League. The longest drought without a Grey Cup championship is the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which dates back to 1999. But have you noticed these things have been dropping off fast? It was the Blue Jays until 2015. It was the Blue Jays, right? And then it was the Bills. And then now they're according to you, the what? I wrote it down. Third best team in the National Football League. So I would just think, if you're the president, if you're the staff, and darn sure if you're the players and coach, that would not be something you'd want to wear, right?
No, you wouldn't. And I think teams are flipping the philosophy a little bit where, teams would want to be the Red Wings and be in the playoffs 23 straight years. Now, they won some Stanley Cups in there, right? So there's that. But teams all, want to be good, consistently fill seats, get into the playoffs. And championships were kind of a bonus. You still want to win championships. But I think now those teams that have long playoff droughts are like, okay, forget about trying to get to the playoffs. Forget about trying to be respectable. Let's strip this down. Let's build this really solid from the core. And let's try and go from worst to first and win a championship. And we're starting to see that now as they build these super teams and go on runs.
I admire those that just are in the fight. The general managers and the coaches and the scouts, because it's never been harder to do, because patience amongst fans and owners has never been shorter. The rules now with the salary cap have never made it harder to win. Oh man, it would be real hard. By the way, Jennifer from the Four Seasons writes in, she says, Matt Stafford is back to being Matt Stafford. Corey May on YouTube says the New York Jets are close to needing Chris Streveler on their roster. Not really. They won the huge upset at the Steelers on the weekend. Arlen Bruce III watching, a CFL grade. He says, will Antonio Brown sign with an NFL team this season? Would you sign him if you were a GM? Absolutely not. I think Antonio Brown is a loser. I've never met him, but judging by he's had every opportunity to get straight, and he's not. He's making fun of Tom Brady. You saw with his Instagram. After that, I was done with AB. But on the Rams, by the way, just watching, and I should have realized it, just dumb me. They won the Super Bowl, and they couldn't keep everybody. Everybody wants a raise. Stafford wants a raise. Cooper Kupp wants a raise. Aaron Donald threatened to retire if he didn't get a raise. Well, where was Von Miller? Had to go. OBJ had to go. We saw last night they are not the same team that won the Super Bowl last year, but everybody's going to keep their job there and should for probably 3-4 years, Darren, because they won the Super Bowl. They went all in and gambled and won. And I look at the Rough Riders, quite frankly, as a team where the general manager, Jeremy O'Day, says we're not going to risk our future for 1 year. How's that working out, J.O.? They probably should have, Darren. That's my read on that. I guess to you, would you sign AB. That's where this discussion started.
No, I wouldn't sign AB. There's no signs to point that he can be a stable locker room influence right now, that he can, be a productive member of the football team. So that's that. With the Rams, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this defense couldn't stop an nosebleed last night when it came to running the football. You knew San Francisco was going to run. They couldn't stop them. So it's funny, Matt Stafford's there doing his thing, and the number one offense in the entire NFL belongs to the Detroit Lions. Of all teams, the Detroit Lions. Nobody scored more points. So that's kind of
Takes a while. By the way, Wayne in BC writes in and says, Rod, are you talking playoff drought or championship drought? Hamilton made the playoffs the last few years. I'm talking both, Wayne. I was talking both. Moose, I'll see you back here in hour 2.
See you then.
You BC viewers and listeners, perk up. We'll be talking Vancouver Canucks next with Jeff Paterson. It's the RP Show live on Game Plus Television and YouTube, your favorite podcast platform. And today, back for the first time on live radio, WQEE, your home of Southern Sports and Talk, 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Take up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
RP show continues. By the way, breaking news out of the National Hockey League on this Tuesday. Matthew Barzal has extended with the New York Islanders 8 years, $9.15 million annual average value, AAV, and he's their best player. Worth every penny. That doesn't surprise me at all. By the way, Dylan Holloway, as we mentioned earlier, had 3 goals and an assist. Zach Hyman had a goal and 2 helpers as the Edmonton Oilers skated to a 7-2 preseason win over the visiting Vancouver Canucks on Monday. Nils Höglander and Connor Garland scored for the Canucks, who are winless in 5 preseason games. Joining us to talk about it is Jeff Paterson, our good and longtime friend from Sakaris and Price and the Rink-Wide podcast. How you doing today, JP? What's up, brother?
Yeah, hey, Rod. Thanks for having me back on. A little bit of angst in the market here. As you said, winless in 5. I know it's the preseason, but there are only 2 preseason games to go. They start playing for keeps next Wednesday. They got to be a whole lot better than they have been to this point in the preseason. Now, the lineup they sent to Edmonton last night, it should have been 15-0 for the Oilers based on who was in the respective lineup. So I give credit to the guys that were wearing Canuck uniforms, but essentially an AHL team on the road in Edmonton last night. They've got 2 to go. I think they load up here, a couple of dress rehearsals before they start playing for keeps next week.
Well, you mentioned the angst in the market. That's going to happen, but you've watched every game. How are they playing, Jeff? What's your panic level on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, hey, we've been at this long enough, Rod. It is the preseason, and you have to keep that in mind. That said, as an organization, they've scored 7 goals in those 5 preseason games. So the guys that are being paid to put up numbers, they haven't necessarily done that yet. Elias Pedersen has looked all right in the games that he has played. He didn't play last night, but yeah, they committed long-term to JT Miller. The new deal doesn't kick in for another year. He's in the final year of his current contract, but it's been a tough go in the preseason. Again, he's a veteran. He's been around this a while. I think he knows when they're going to need him, and that's October the 12th. It's not October the 4th or October the 7th. He's on the clock next week. They're back in Edmonton for their season opener. So their best players have to ramp things up here, and that's why I say I think they'll probably use these final 2 preseason games as dress rehearsals. But you'd like to see just a little bit more because expectations here are that this should be a playoff team. They made the moves in the offseason. They brought in Ilya Mikheyev. They went out and they landed Andrei Kuzmenko, the second highest scorer in the KHL last year. He's looked good, actually, in training camp in the preseason so far. But Brock Besser is out, had hand surgery a week ago, probably won't be ready for opening night. And this isn't a team that can afford to stumble from the gates. We all remember what happened last year. Slow start. Caused an organizational housekeeping, the likes of which we have never seen in 50 years. The general manager, the assistant general manager, the head coach, his assistant, all punted after 25 games. So there is some heat, top to bottom, on this group. They think that they've got the pieces in place, but they can't scuffle out of the gates here. They need to hit the ground running starting next week.
Well, is that realistic in your mind? Like, obviously you've spent thousands of hours talking about it, but I haven't talked to you about it. If they'd made the change and brought in Boudreau a month earlier than they did last year, is that a playoff team over there?
I would say probably, but you know how it works in pro sports. You dig yourself a hole, and it is just so hard to claw your way out. You just can't afford any nights off. They couldn't give Thatcher Demko the rest necessary. Eventually, they ground him into the dust. He played too many games and ended up injured, needed offseason surgery. He is their go-to guy in goal. He's sort of on the cusp of becoming a truly elite goaltender in the National Hockey League, but they got to find that sweet spot, especially out here on the West Coast with all the travel. You know, how many games is too many games? And yet they've got an unproven backup this year in Spencer Martin. And I just kind of fear that Bruce Boudreau, without a contract beyond this season, he's playing for keeps because he wants the job that he's got here. I have this funny feeling that they're going to continue to lean on Thatcher Demko, probably more than they should. But when I look at this group, Rod, up front, their forward group, I think it stacks up with a lot of teams in the Western Conference. Yeah. JT Miller coming off a 99-point season. I don't know that he gets back to 99. I'm not sure that he has to. He's going to be a really good player for this team. They've got Elias Pedersen, who was dreadful and a big part of the reason for the slow start last year. And then he found his form midway through the season, second half of the year, played like an all-star, played like the guy that they believe that he can be and that he has to be. And he's had a good camp here, and I think he's come to realizing what he means to this organization. and how important it is for him individually to have a good start so that the guys around him are able to have a good start as well. You got Bo Horvat. I mentioned Besser. He'll be back, but still a little bit of a setback here in the preseason. Connor Garland scored last night. Vasily Podkolzin, the young Russian, was a rookie last year. I think they would think that he's ready to take another step. I think their forward group, at least their top 9, stacks up reasonably well. And then I mentioned Thatcher Demko. The issue here, as it has been essentially for 50 years of existence for the Vancouver Canucks, is the back end. Outside of Quinn Hughes, there are just so many question marks about what they've got, how they're going to roll them out, the pairings, the depth. And they didn't address any of that in the offseason. So I think they're expecting that Thatcher Demko is going to raise his game, and they're probably going to have to lean on him on an awful lot of nights this season.
JP, we have 3.5 minutes left. I want to ask you 2 questions, and one of those pertains to the 1995 Kamloops Blazers, because history might be repeating itself this year. Yeah, you were the voice of that team. But hey, you mentioned the travel of the Canucks. You at least have a rival 2.5 hours down the road in the Seattle Kraken, who were 4-0 in the preseason, which was making me sick because just everybody's talking about that. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything more than the Canucks being winless. The Kraken finally lost in Calgary last night. But what's your read on the Kraken entering year 2 for them?
Yeah, I think they learned a lot. That the bar was raised by Vegas. They were never going to be able to replicate what Vegas did in its inaugural season. I don't think that they played the expansion draft particularly well, but boy, looking at Matty Beniers, I think they've landed a terrific young player there to get Shane Wright 4th overall. But it's that's the future of this team. In the here and now, love the deal to get Oliver Bjorkstrand out of Columbus, for a song, essentially. A guy that had a ton of success in Portland in the Western Hockey League, so he's coming back to the Pacific Northwest. They've got some pieces there. I think that they'll be better than they were last year, but they've got a long way to go. I don't know that they're a playoff team. I think Dave Haxtell is under some pressure. The first coach of an expansion team so often is a sacrificial lamb anyhow. And people here on want the rivalry to exist, but any sport, I think rivalries are born in the playoffs. So I think, every time they get together, sure, you're going to have some of the fan bases, they're crossing the border and taking in games, but until both of these teams are at a level where the games mean something, I think that's where the rivalry truly will come to life. But yeah, it's great for the Canucks. It's great for hockey fans here. It's great for fans that live in the Vancouver area. If you're a Montreal fan or a Toronto fan, hey, you can see them in Vancouver, but it's a 2.5-hour drive down to Seattle, a second chance to see those types of teams, the original 6 teams, the stars of this league that come through to the West Coast. So it's great to have Seattle in. 32 just makes so much more sense than 31 teams in a league. And at some point, this rivalry will be ignited, but it's not there yet.
So 60 seconds left now, and the 1995 Memorial Cup was in Kamloops. Blazers won the West, so the Eastern rep went, and that was the Brandon Wheat Kings. That could happen again. What do you remember about that tourney, Jeff? How much do you think about it? That's back to our dub days. You were their voice, and I was the voice of the Pat.
Yeah, I was so fortunate, Rod. That was my first year on the job, and they won the Memorial Cup on home ice with Jerome McGinley and Shane Doan and Darcy Tucker and Nolan Baumgartner and Jason Strudwick. I think there were 10 guys from that team that played in the National Hockey League, one of the truly great junior hockey teams of all time. That was the third of the 3 Memorial Cups in 4 years. We're never going to see a run like that again. But I'm glad for the city of Kamloops. It's just a great hockey town. It's had some lean years, as most junior programs go through, but they seem to be back on the upswing here. And certainly looking forward. Going to do everything I can to get up the highway to Kamloops when the Memorial Cup rolls around next spring. So I was happy when they won the bid, and obviously a big year and a lot of build up there. And we'll see if they can make history repeat itself next year.
So special for sure. Jeff, hey, enjoy the ride following the Canucks this year. Let's do it again.
Absolutely right. Anytime.
Jeff Paterson from Sekeres and Price out of Vancouver and the Rink Wide podcast. Got a sports update next. Viewer takeover. It's the RP show on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, and beginning today, live now on your home of Southern Sports and Talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
I gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Here we go. Final segment of Hour 1 and lots to discuss. We have breaking news out of the Canadian Football League. Listen up, Hamilton and Winnipeg, where we have so many viewers and listeners. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers announced today the acquisition of defensive back Alden Darby Jr. in a trade with the Hamilton Tiger Cats for defensive end Cedric Wilcox II. Darby returns to the Blue Bombers after being part of the 2021 Grey Cup championship team. He signed with the Ticats in free agency. I'm just announcing the trade. You folks have to discuss amongst yourselves what this means, because everybody say, why is Hamilton giving him up? Are they waving the white flag? I don't know. Why did Darby leave in the first place? But that's the news out of Winnipeg today. It certainly got Bomber fans excited. Back to the regular sports update. In a weekend full of highlight reel plays, a Saskatchewan running back stood out against them all. Ted Kubongo was the Week 5 Canada West football star, joined by Regina's Aldo Galvin and Anthony Bennett. They've all been named Canada West Football Players of the Week. Meanwhile, the Western Hockey League announced that Kelowna Rockets forward Andrew Crystal has been named Player of the Week. The 2023 NHL draft prospect from Burnaby, BC, recorded 5 points in 2 outings this past week, helping his Rockets split a 2-game road series versus the Prince George Cougars. Meanwhile, Winnipeg Ice goaltender Daniel Hauser has been named WHL Goalie of the Week. the product of Chestermere, Alberta, recorded a 1.00 goals against average, .964 save percentage, and one shutout across 2 starts this past week, helping the Ice start the regular season at 4-0. The Toronto Blue Jays have 2 now meaningless games left in their regular season, both in rain-soaked Baltimore, including one tonight, weather permitting. The Jays, who have won 4 in a row, clinched the American League top wildcard berth Monday night and will host a best-of-5 playoff series beginning Friday. Right-hander Mitch White is scheduled to pitch for the Jays tonight, while the Orioles will send righty Mike Bauman to the hill. College football, Alabama reclaimed the number 1 position from Georgia in the Associated Press college football poll in one of the closest votes in recent years. 2 points separate the Crimson Tide from the Bulldogs. The Crimson Tide received 25 first-place votes, 1,523 points. Georgia got 28 first-place votes to become the first team since Alabama in November of 2019 to have the most first-place votes, but not be number 1. This sports update for Edo, Japan. From hand-rolled sushi to bento box meals made with famous teriyaki sauce, Edo, Japan's menu has something for everyone. So coming up in hour 2, it's going to be a lot of fun. The Moose is going to rejoin us. Whatever you people would like to talk about, we'll talk about it. It's just going to be one of those days. We'll also be joined by Nick Alberga, the Eastern Canadian viewers. As a matter of fact, more so just the Toronto fans will know the name Nick Alberga. You can follow him on Twitter at The Golden Muzzy. He hosted Maple Leafs radio broadcast pre- and post-game for a number of years. Now he's out at Daily Faceoff and LeafsNation Network. Nick Alberga is going to join us to talk about Canada's team. Can I say, going into the regular season? Jeff in Winnipeg, Jeff Kabila says, boo, Alabama, boo. I say, roll Tide. That's my team, but maybe, Jeff, hey, nobody in Alabama's picked us up on the radio yet, but in Georgia they have. Maybe I got to switch my allegiances to the Bulldogs. Corey May, regarding the NHL talk, he said if Calgary and Edmonton are shoo-ins, he's talking NHL, the last minute of play in hour 1, last minute of play, he says the Vancouver Canucks are in a bubble with a lot of teams. Yeah, he says the Central, but that's the Pacific Division. There's some great teams. There's a lot of middle-of-the-pack teams. And quite a few really bad teams in the NHL. Welcome to every year. Welcome to every early October before the season gets rolling. Hey, WQEE, dialed up. Ryan O'Radio writes in and says, War Eagle. Can't make my fingers do that. Speaking of fingers, some of the viewers were talking about Tua as well and what went down with him on the turf in Cincy the other night on Thursday Night Football. We're going to talk about Tua. We're going to talk about CFL, NHL, NFL, junior hockey, all of it coming up in hour 2. Stick around, everybody, after this break on Game Plus and WQEE Radio.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Peterson. Text 902-518-3033.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
I gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
No! Can't remember my roommate's name, but we couldn't get into our room, and 2 exotic dancers came down the hallway and said, "Here you go, let us give you a hand with that."
How about that?
I was 16. It was like, whoa. Mandy at Edmonton has checked in, by the way. She says, flashback. I did find glitter around an ex's house all the way into the bedroom. Now you know. No charge.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, it absolutely is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's hour number 2 of episode number 855. And I'm going to say it again. I'm going to ring the bell. I'm going to bang the gong. Whatever sound effects you guys got back there in the Millennium Falcon, hit them up.
How about that?
In the sweatpants capital.
Bingo!
Yeah, all of them. Thank you, Rick Regan. It'd be a very exciting day for Rick Regan, too, because we're back on live radio for the first time since January of 2019. I can't even remember. It's 3.5 going on 4 years. We're live on WQEE 99.1 FM, your home of Southern sports and talk. That's right. Metro Atlanta. Today's the first day. Rhino Radio is flying the ship. They're in Noonan, Georgia, suburb of Atlanta, as we bring in the Moose, Darren Moose DuPont. And I may get a little emotional, Moose, because it's been quite a road. You've been on it with me. And this is exciting today. And I thank Rhino Radio for that. I see his messaging here on the feed. And, okay, Troy in Toronto, you just hang on. I said we're going to talk about what they want to talk about, and we're going to do that. He wants to talk about Tom Brady, and that's cool. I'm down with that. We got the Blue Jays going to the playoffs. And not only going to the playoffs, but home in the playoffs, which is massive. Clark was talking about that, I think, in the morning meeting or even just before the show. What does home field mean in Major League Baseball playoffs? I think it means a lot. Maybe we got to get Tim Leeper on this week if we can, Darren, because he was the first base coach the last time the Blue Jays played a playoff game, 2016 in Rogers Center, 2016, because they were swept in 2020 at Tampa. NFL, CFL, NHL. I got a lot of thoughts. Your NFL top 5. Coming out of hour 1, what's gravitating with you? What's on your mind? Gavna?
Yeah, a little bit of that, but probably the biggest thing would be the Jays, actually,
Yeah.
Because now it feels more real than ever. They're going to be at home. it's tough because they're going to play Tampa or Seattle. And I grew up kind of liking Seattle a lot. I was a big fan of Edgar Martinez and Ken Griffey Jr. and those guys, and Rodriguez when he played there, A-Rod. So I love the Mariners. So a Jays Mariners series would be a tough one for me, actually, because I like that they've made it to the playoffs after a 21-year drought.
Well, we're sinking right into it. This is what I wanted today. And thank you for that. Just some good old fun sports talk with our viewers. This reminds me of all the public speaking that I've done over the years, where you go into a town, a city, and you're standing at a podium with a speech, and you don't know if what you're talking about is what they want, right? So I would often say to the organizers, what do you want me to talk about? Well, whatever you want to talk about. No, tell me specifically what you want so I can give you what you want. That's what I'm telling the viewers here right now. And the best speeches are always the Q&As. So you fire the questions at us, and we'll do our best to knock them out of the yard. Troy Colmer in Toronto is watching. And Game Plus, he says, I'm curious what the word on the street is about Tom Brady in Florida. To me, Tom looks like he's finally on the decline. Or is he under a lot of pressure from outside influences? Can Tampa Bay win with Tom Brady? Well, they already have. You know that. He led the NFL in touchdown passes and yardage just last year. That's why he's back this year. It's the one thing that bothers me about football. And you get this more in football than any other sport, Darren. And hockey and football are our sports. For all the people listening live in Atlanta that are tuning in for the first time, that's us, the hockey and football guys. It's, this didn't work, so I shouldn't have played at all. Or you shouldn't have called that play. Or it ended in an interception. Why didn't you run it, you jerk? Tom came back because he knew he could still play. So you're asking what the word is on Florida of Tom. Let's go back and think. They lost 31-21 to Kansas City Sunday night in a primetime game where they trekked across the state of Florida to practice all week. And Hurricane Ian. And he's going through a divorce. He's got all this stuff going on. You want to stop the Chiefs and maybe hold them to less than 20 points? There's a defensive side of the ball, too. Now, Darren and I are both Brady guys. But what I'm doing is hanging around football people here at all levels, and you're now starting to see it because they're coming on the show. You're seeing it on my social media. I guess my point is they're all Tom Brady fans. They're all in Tom Brady's corner. And basically, what did they say? They said when they thought he was going to pull the pin this year, they're like, good, sooner that he can come and own the Dolphins or play for the Dolphins or live in Miami. They just love Tom. So it's like, Tom, you do you. And they're all behind him, supporting him. That's what it is in Florida, Darren. Your thought?
Yeah. Well, I love our viewers, respect the hell out of them. But I would say get a couple squeegees and clear the fog off the eyeballs a little bit, because you look at the game on Sunday, Tom Brady, if you think this is and I don't know, okay, you might think this is a decline, but he completed 75% of his passes, 385 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That doesn't sound like a decline to me when it comes to Tom Brady. And when you talk about no support on that offensive line or defensively, I'm looking at the running backs. 2 running backs carried the ball. Rashad White carried the ball 3 times for 6 yards, and Leonard Fournette carried the ball 3 times for -3 yards. So when you can't get the ground game going and take some pressure off, but also he put up enough points to win and did enough to win, that defense needs to make a couple of stops. This wasn't Tom Brady losing the game. This is Patrick Mahomes winning the game.
Taking the game, exactly. So one of our priority one viewers and listeners, I'm just going to call them fans now instead of listeners and viewers. Pinks writes in regarding Tom and Giselle. He says they filed for divorce. Both have their lawyers doing the papers. He does have a lot on his plate. Just play the game and lean into it. Right, Dupes? That's your phrase. Lean into it. From Kevin the Medium, he's watching in Airdrie, Alberta, and he says, LOL, squeegee your eyes. Ha ha, Moose is killing it today. Moose is killing it almost every day, pretty much every day that he's on. So, it doesn't, like, I was with a bunch of guys on the weekend. So, what do you think they're going to say? We're at the racetrack, for the love of Pete. Of course they're on Tom's side. It's a bunch of guys and football guys. And they're all in South Florida. So when the hurricane hit, and by the way, we were largely untouched here other than a strong wind and quite a bit of rain, but there was no damage where we live. They're all like, come on down, Tom. Come on down, Tommy. Stay in your house. It was a home week for him because he's got a house here. Indian Creek, where he built it, $50 million. That cost that house, Moose, keeps going up and up and up.
I know.
Every time I hear it, it's more. So anyways, your question was, what do they think of Tom? They think Tom can still play. He can't do it alone. It's a long time on that answer, but thank you, Troy, for playing. Jennifer at the Four Seasons says, what is our record against Seattle? Seems like the Jays always lose to them. Where are you on history, Darren? I want your take on that because she brings up a good point. The Jays, they looked really bad in Seattle this year on their lone trip. But guess what? 2 days later, Charlie Montoya was fired, the manager. Okay? And I remember coming out of that going, we got a great team here playing like garbage. I didn't even need, I watched some of the games. I was in Calgary at that time, I believe, for sure in Canada. That series in Seattle probably sealed Charlie Montoya's fate. So don't worry. You can't worry about history. If history was a factor, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers would have never won a Grey Cup. You know what I mean? That's my take on that. This is a new season. That's why they call it the playoffs and the postseason. It's a new season. And I think the fact that they're at home is going to be really big for them, don't you? They got to the ALCS twice in 2015 and 2016 when they were in a scenario where they had a home field advantage leading up to it.
Yeah, being at home is going to be massive. That place in Toronto is so great when it's full and full of Blue Jays fans and blue everywhere you look. So that's going to be great. History, I think the more we talk about history, the more you think about history, I think the more of a factor it plays. And it's just more you have to overcome because I think when you start thinking, oh, we've never beat these guys. Oh, these guys always have our number. And that's in the back of your mind. It can creep in. I know they're pros and mentally strong, but it can creep into you no matter what. And then you're trying not to lose as opposed to trying to win. Good teams, though, can find ways to overcome those mental blocks. And, I think the Jays are good enough, and I don't think history should really matter too much.
That's just our take. But thank you for playing. The poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is this. Do you think the Blue Jays can reach the World Series? And I'm a little disappointed to realize that over 70% of respondents on Twitter and YouTube say no. They can't reach the World Series. But the Blue Jays were our number 1 point an hour ago when we kicked this thing off. So I'll say it again. Baseball is different than the NFL and the NHL, and dare I say the NBA. More than any of those leagues, you got to be good to make the playoffs in Major League Baseball. Even though they've added a couple of extra wild card spots this year, these are good teams getting in, and because of that, the Blue Jays, I believe, have a chance to get to the World Series, and Darren agreed. By the way, we got these listeners in Atlanta saying, well, we're over here winning. Well, they didn't last night. Jesus Luzardo. Can I do it in my baseball voice? Do you like that, Darren, when I do that? It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. For those that are into numerology, we're on the right track, and we're healing, too. Still healing. We will be for a long time, but Jesus Luzardo struck out 12 in 6 innings. Brian De La Cruz hit a 2-run homer, and the Miami Marlins prevented Atlanta from clinching their 5th straight NL Eastern title by beating the Braves 4-0 on Monday night. The Braves are sitting here going, well, we're over here. We clinched like weeks ago, guys. At least a wild card berth, that is. It'll be an interesting week for the Atlanta Braves and their fans. First, a word from our sponsor. Edo Japan, from hand-rolled sushi to bento box meals made with their famous teriyaki sauce. Edo Japan's menu has something for everyone. What else you guys got for us? Put them up. Put them up. Arlen Bruce, I got one for you. Arlen Bruce III says, if Tom Brady plays another season, I'm coming out of retirement. Get your popcorn ready. 2023. I love these football guys. How do you feel about, and I assume you watch the Monday Night Football pregame shows. I don't like how the players get up, and now it's Larry Fitzgerald and Steve Young and some of those guys I know, and they run routes and they throw passes and stuff. I'm like, guys, you're retired. I feel football players more than any other sport can't let it go. And it's ironic because physically they're the least able to play because of what they put their bodies through. How do you like about that when they're running 40s and running routes? And I'm just like, just analyze the guys that are playing. Guys, do you agree or disagree?
I disagree, man. I love it. I think it's great.
Do you?
That's why I like Terry.
Okay.
That's why I like Terry Bradshaw, because I mean, there's enough guys. You got at least somebody on the panel who's analyzed all the numbers and can really get you all that stuff. I want these guys to have fun, and it makes the game feel fun. Makes me feel like I'm in a good mood. So I'm a fan.
Good. It would be awfully boring if we agreed all the time.
That's right.
Here's one. Troy, I'm with you. He says, I can't wait to see if Robbie Ray faces Kevin Gausman in Game 2 of the Wild Card Series. Who wins that battle? I'm not sure we want to have the answer to that. You're talking about last year's Cy Young winner, right? Last year was it 2 years ago? Clark, tell me that. Time goes so fast. I'm still in COVID time. Either way, Robbie Ray's the better pitcher. It comes down to pitching. I'm not sure how much I like this matchup. Remember what happened to the Blue Jays in Tampa Bay 2 years ago in the wild card?
Yes.
They cleaned our clocks.
Yes.
All based on pitching. Hyun-Jin Ryu didn't even show up. Oh, sure, Troy. You had to go in and inject some common sense. Chris Jarls watching in Vancouver. He says the Blue Jays don't have the pitching depth needed for the playoffs. They are so close, though. One or two relief pitchers away. Guys, let's not talk ourselves out of losing this series yet, okay? Can we just wait? Which, by the way, Darren, we got a minute here, but huge game Friday night. Rough Riders at Tiger Cats. Really the final playoff spot in the Canadian Football League. I feel it will be decided that night. And then the Blue Jays, Game 1 of the Wild Card Series. Oh. What do you think the ratings will be like for that?
I know it's going to be through the roof, which is outstanding. Yeah. You know, I can't wait. Friday night will be a good night for sports.
It'll be a good night. Devin Pacilo writes in, says, good morning from Burns Lake, BC. Good morning, Devin. Jeff Gordon says, I'm not sure if the Jays have the horses to get past Houston. New York is a toss-up. Yeah. Who knew that we'd be talking baseball? But I guess I did, because that's why I put on my Blue Jays shirt. We'll continue the fun talk when we return. It's the RP Show on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, and on the radio live now, your home of Southern sports and talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Smoky and
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
As you can see, another crappy day here in South Florida. I guess the radio listeners can't, but that is where we are originating from. And before we bring in the Moose on the other half of the program from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, I'm going to jump in with some sports updates. You can call it Trade Tuesday. From the Canadian Football League, Alden Darby Jr. is back with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers on Tuesday morning acquired Darby from the Hamilton Tiger Cats for defensive end Cedric Wilcox II. This marks the second time in as many years Winnipeg has traded for Darby. The Bombers acquired him from Toronto July 21st, 2021. Also, from the Argonauts, went on to win the Grey Cup. From the Western Hockey League, the Regina Pats have acquired 2005-born forward Sam Aremba from the Seattle Thunderbirds in exchange for a 2023 second-round pick, 2024 first-round pick, and 2025 third-round pick. This is big news for our viewers across Western Canada, and for that matter, across Canada, the junior hockey fans. Sam Aremba is a Regina kid. He's recorded 2 assists in 2 games this season after totaling 14 points in 56 games with the Thunderbirds last year, helping Seattle reach the Western Hockey League final. I'm going to stop there and bring the Moose in. I'll do a more sports update a little later on for all of our sponsors. But that's big news. I've had people tell me, stop me on the street in Alberta and say, I watch your show for the junior hockey news. So that's huge news right there. I know there were people within the Seattle organization, let's put it this way, that they wanted to acquire Connor Bedard, and they wanted to make the run for it. And what does this say to you? Like, I called Sam Aremba's games with the Pat Canadians. He's first-round blue-chip material here. I guess his stats don't necessarily show that, but this is a clear sign Pats are loading up and making a run for it. I don't like it. I've said that before, but how about you?
Yeah, I mean, if you make the decision that you don't want to trade Connor Bedard, then you need to try and complement, the group around him. And so Sam will do that. He's not, doesn't translate it into the blue chip NHL prospect that he was when he was a blue chip WHL prospect, but he still has that potential, and he's played very well and obviously worthy of the first round pick and the other draft picks that went into the trade. So this is a sign that the Pats are trying to compete and make a run here. And so I like it, and we'll see what's next. This won't be the end of the moves.
No, but I give John Paddock, the general manager of the Regina Pats, a lot of kudos for making these moves, the former head coach of the Ottawa Senators and Winnipeg Jets. However, the Pats got spanked 7-3 in Calgary on Sunday. And I'm going to tell you right now, contending teams don't get spanked. They just don't. So that's why I'm willing to sit here, and I'm going to be doing a lot of reading this week on the Blue Jays. I see there's an article posted to The Wire here about the home field advantage and what it means for Toronto. Because in terms of baseball, I'm not that big of baseball guy. Not anymore. I was in the 80s, but it's been a long time. But when it comes to junior hockey, you can't get me. You can't get me. Okay? I'm not wrong on this. The Pats should not be trying to load up and win the East. They're not going to win the East. I think they're ending up tying their shoelaces together here. That's what I think they're doing. Shane Mellinson, you know him from one of our sponsors, Deer Valley. Shane writes in regarding the broadcast crew for the playoffs. Sportsnet announced Canada will get Buck, and I assume Pat calling the game, as Dan Shulman will be on the radio broadcast. Go Blue Jays. Listen, I'll say this. Whether we got the best ball club or not in Major League Baseball in Toronto, we got the best broadcasters. It ain't a debate. We got the best broadcasters. What do you think?
It's going to be awesome, and for the radio listeners, ESPN Radio, I think Dan Shulman's calling that Jays series. So they're going to be doing the same game anyway. But yeah, with Buck and Pat, it's that is baseball. That is Blue Jays baseball. So it's going to be fun no matter what. We've got the best.
I tell you what, Tabby. Swinging it back around here to some Canadian Football League, which I don't mind. I was going to write down this week's games in the CFL, and I never actually got to it. That Troy in Toronto says, let's go Rough Riders. I may be a Toronto guy, but I've always been a Riders fan. The best fans in the CFL, proud to wear my Riders t-shirt and always enthusiastically stopped by Sask people. Someday, Troy, you're going to have to tell me why you're a Rider fan. I was not aware of that information about you. Stephen Lillick, one of our, am I saying his name right? One of our interns. Am I saying that right? Stephen Lillick?
I think so. We're going to have to just double check with him.
He says, as a Mariners fan, the starting pitching advantage probably swings our way. The issue is the lineup is heavily home run / walk dependent, so inconsistency happens. Who is this kid?
He's very good.
He's the next Joe Morgan. Are you old enough to remember Joe Morgan? Remember him?
Yeah.
He was the color guy. You guys tell me who was the play-by-play guy on the national broadcast.
Oh.
He was the normal San Francisco Giants guy. I want to say Pete Miller, John Miller. Was it John Miller? I think it was John Miller.
Might have been.
Going back a long ways on it. Partnered with Joe Morgan. I just feel like none of the crews now are as good as they used to be. But that's probably just me. Friday night, during the Rough Riders game, I'm watching it here. They were at Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
I started to get the meme the song in my head from Don Meredith, Monday Night Football. Turn out the lights, the party's over. From a Rough Riders perspective, that night, the party ain't over yet for their season, but it was that night. Oh, there was something I wanted to debate with you. And for whatever reason, our COO, Lee, was all over this too. Wanted us to talk about it. Bobby Wagner delivered one of Monday Night Football's biggest hits on a person not wearing pads. The LA Rams linebacker flattened a protester who ran onto the field with a device emitting pink smoke late in the second quarter of the Rams game against the 49ers Monday night. The protester was taken off the field by security, and the game quickly resumed. The Niners, of course, won 24-9. Well, maybe it was just somebody trying to be funny, but I saw on social media that it was a gender reveal stunt. Was that not true?
Is that what the pink smoke was? Well,
that's what I heard.
When we watched the game, they didn't show it at all. They talked about it. Troy Aikman saw Bobby Wagner clock the guy and make the hit. He's like, oh, Bobby Wagner with the hit of the game. And you could see Buck. They quickly, the cameras never went over there. They knew right away that they're not supposed to talk about it. And they kept talking about the offense for LA and all the changes they made. So they largely ignored it, never showed it at all. And that must be an NFL mandate and an ESPN mandate, because it was largely a non-factor on the broadcast.
I think every league and broadcast entity doesn't want to show that stuff. But, and I don't know, Lee, our COO, because he's in our morning meeting every day, he's like, let's do a poll question around that. And I'm thinking, well, what would we reasonably ask around that? I said, I'd rather ask our viewers if they think the Blue Jays will get to the World Series or not. And I'm stunned to know over 70% saying that they won't. But
I guess the only question around that would be, you know, are fans fair game to get their lights knocked out when they enter the field to play? Of
course they are.
Yeah.
A couple of viewers, Andrew and Jeff in Winnipeg, are saying that they showed it on the Manning cast, which I didn't even tune in. I saw that they were going to have Jalen Hurts on last night and John Hamm. And I don't think that makes me a stick in the mud per se, but I don't have any interest in sitting and watching the game with the two Mannings or any other ex-pro football players. As much as I love those guys, it's kind of awkward. Like, I know Peyton's very funny, and I love Peyton. I love both those guys, but Eli just sits there so awkward and just smiles and, yeah. Like, take him off and put somebody else on there that's entertaining. I feel bad for Eli. It just makes him look worse. Funniest thing Eli ever did, though, was when Peyton... Did you and I watch the match together? The match with Tom Brady and Peyton?
No.
With Tiger Woods and Phil? But you watched it, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Eli wasn't on the broadcast, but he was tweeting.
He tweeted.
And it was awesome. Right, and they were putting the tweets up on the screen. And Peyton was spraying his tee shots off into the next fairway, right? And into the water and everything. And Eli tweets, Peyton, try and hit it where it's brown or green, not blue. Like, it was, maybe just have Eli tweet, but don't have him say anything. But I guess I will ask the viewers this and listeners. And by the way, thank you for the messages coming in from Atlanta. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here in our broadcast location. 902-518-3033. The number is on the screen. The area code, by the way, to Atlanta is 706. That's how I know that they're coming in from Atlanta. I love it. Allie in Texas says, I might watch more football if the announcers were as funny as you two. Boy, they should go back and watch our sim broadcast when there was when the CFL wiped out its season because of COVID. Darren and I broadcast video games. We had 25,000 viewers of the championship game, for the love of Pete. Anyways, before we break, and we have a good 3 to 4 minutes here, and we're going to bring in Nick Alberga. We'll be talking Leafs with him. And Allie, I'll get a Dallas Stars. Oh, he has? Okay. Allie, I'll get a Dallas Stars thought from Nick, too, because you're watching in Texarkana, Texas. But what is the funniest, I got two, funniest incident that you've seen at a game of people walking onto the ice, the field, whatever? I got two. One was in Vancouver.
Yeah.
That old stadium called Tempire Stadium. It was a temporary stadium that they just threw up while BC Place was being renovated. 30,000 fans, they just threw up scaffolding. Some guy in an electric wheelchair went streaking. Now, he was in his underwear. The security didn't know what to do. Do we stop him? Do we take him down? Or do we let him just keep going? They chased him down and spun him off. And then in 2006 or 7, there was not a streaker, but a lady walked onto the field at Taylor Field during a Rider game. Serena and I were laughing about this the other day because she was there. This lady walked onto the field in the middle of the game, north part of the field, looking for her kid. She wasn't trying to make a scene. She wasn't trying to streak. She lost her kid. She's like out at the 20-yard line, and the refs went and grabbed her and said, ma'am, what are you doing? She's like, have you seen my kid? I've lost my kid. That happened. Do you have one?
Oh, my gosh. I don't.
Do you have one?
Not like that. Not live that I've been at a game at, unfortunately. A lot of animals. It's funny. I've seen a lot of animals come onto the field. Rabbits and cats that have come on the field and disrupted plays, which is always kind of entertaining because they can't be caught. But No, in person, I haven't seen that. I can't imagine.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Listen, we'll save that for overtime. Oh, my God. And I'll tell you a story, but I was doing an intervention. You know this. I was doing an intervention. You know the TV show Intervention? I do those. And you know that story. We got the guy to go to rehab. I led the intervention. I'm like the dog, the bounty hunter of interventions. But he goes, I'm not going without my cat. And I said, guys, get his cat. We had like a crew of 6 guys. And the cat took off out the front door. So you can catch them. Anyways, we'll save that. Remind me about the intervention and the cat and people on the field because Nick Alberga will join us next. Thanks, Moose. It is the RP Show on the Game Plus TV network, YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, of course, and on your home of Southern sports and talk, Metro Atlanta's WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to The Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Peterson. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
RP Show continues, and all kinds of viewer participation here. And I'll get to a lot of those comments in overtime and viewer takeover. But I have to mention our guy Michael Wynn watching in Winnipeg at his sporting goods store, Ice Time Sports. He said 100% John Miller. John Miller and Joe Morgan. Just to talk about famed baseball announcing duos. But we're going to talk hockey now. Nick Alberga joins us. Daily Faceoff, LeafsNation Network. Hey, Nick, good to see you. Golden Muzzy. And I think you saw, before we went to, hey, good to see you, brother. Before we talk Leafs and Eastern teams, all the rest, you heard me say Allie in Texas. She wants the Stars talk. Every day she tunes in for Stars talk. She doesn't get a lot. What do you expect out of Dallas with the coaching change and a holdout with Jason Robertson? What are you feeling for Dallas this year?
I'm on the fence with the Dallas Stars, and great to be with you. I think you look first and foremost, as you mentioned, Jason Robertson. What in the hell is going on right there? Because I think for my money, he's one of the more underrated players in the entire league right now. You take Jason Robertson off that roster, it's just not the same Dallas Stars team. And I sort of feel for Jake Ottinger because everywhere Pete DeBoer goes, he seems to feud with his goaltenders, if you know what I'm saying. So Jake Ottinger better beware in that scenario.
I know. I'm with you. And for 26 years, they were my team when my dad worked for them, and they feel a little rudderless right now. So, I like the answer. I wish we had more for you, Allie, but we don't know. I don't think she knows. I don't think Dallas knows. Do you know how the Leafs are going to be, Nick?
Well, again, we just talked about Jake Ottinger. The goaltending situation, right, is where we'd start. And I think, again, you got to preface by saying it's the preseason. I understand that. But so far, so good. Passing with flying colors is Matt Murray. I thought he looked really, really good last night against Montreal at the Bell Center. Ilya Samsonov, to this point, looked really, really steady as well. To me, that's the prevailing story out of camp as the Leafs get set to kick off their season next Wednesday is in between the pipes. We know this team's going to score, but can they keep the puck out of the net? That's probably the best way I would answer the question because Jack Campbell, Peter Mrazek out, and obviously the new guys in here. So we'll see how they fare. But everything's riding on this season, and to put all that hope in Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov, only time will tell if that actually is going to work out here.
Well, I guess Jack Campbell played his first full game for the Oilers last night, got the thumbs up in a 7-2 win over Vancouver. But at least for the Leafs, like we had Bernie Nichols on here yesterday, and he agreed. The vets aren't necessarily playing 100% or trying in all the games. These are for young guys. And for the Leafs, they wanted to figure out who their goalie was going to be, and you're telling me they do know now that it's Matt Murray. What are the other question marks for the Leafs that remain in the preseason?
So certainly I think we're looking at Nick Robertson too. He's had a really, really strong camp here, Rod. He's got 6 points in the first 3 games. I think it's quite clear there's an opening on that second line when John Tavares does return to play with Nylander and John Tavares, and it's ripe for the taking. And good on Robertson. I think for the first time in his career, he actually looks like an NHL player as opposed to a kid trying to play in the NHL, and that's a big time difference in my opinion. So I think the most likely scenario, he cracks his team out of camp, and then the sky's the limit as to what he can do and try to stick and be consistent and demonstrate the ability to produce at the NHL level. I think this is a massive breakthrough. If Robertson can stick in a top 6 look, he just adds another dimension, some more depth to this team who are in dire need of it, in my opinion, because outside of the big 4, you start to wonder where the offense is going to come from.
Absolutely. But I guess, I see you have the back and forth with our producer, Clark. The good news is for the Leafs, they're going to be in the mix, right? The question, we assume, are we expecting another 100-point season out of this club?
I think you are. Having said that, polling the community and working in the fantasy world, a lot of people seem to be down on the Maple Leafs. And a big reason why is their goaltending, right? And I'm just not sure how you can make the case now, but then felt so great about Jack Campbell, right? Like he still had his turbulent moments throughout last season. I know he was an all-star, but still, look what Peter Mrazek brought to the table. So for most teams, I think you're going to have your concerns when it comes to the goaltending position. And maybe there's more so with Matt Murray and his body of work. Say the last 3 years, he only made 47 appearances in 2 seasons with the Ottawa Senators. So yes, there's some cause for concern. And then Ilya Samsonov's a guy who, Washington just wanted to move on from. I mean, it just speaks volumes to how they felt about the goaltender, and maybe it's just a change of scenery type situation. But I think there is cause for concern, but I do think and prognosticate the Leafs are a better team than people are giving them credit for right now.
Well, I'm with you on that. But let me throw a curve at you. And maybe you've talked about it because you guys in Toronto look at the Leafs 96 ways from Sunday. Do you have the sense that the window might be closing? Because I look at Winnipeg, the window is closed. The Vancouver Canucks had a window, it's closed. And it's been closed for a while. Vegas Golden Knights, I think their window, they jumped through it at the start, it's closed. The Leafs are going to have some guys' contracts coming up in a couple of years, and you know who they are. Do you get the sense that they better start going deep in the playoffs and winning a Stanley Cup? Because this group's not going to be together forever.
You're wearing the Jays top, you hangy, we bangy, as we say in the baseball world. That's a hanging curveball. I'm taking that yard 400 feet, my man. I think they're still at the beginning of the window to win a Stanley Cup. And it's hard to say that because they haven't won a cup since 1967. I know where you're coming from. I'll just add that the cap is going up, and I think that's going to help everybody involved. That's going to help numerous teams, specifically the Maple Leafs, when they have to get into the big-time conversations here ahead with Nylander, with Matthews, with Marner. I mean, the list goes on and on. Bunting's going to be a big predicament following this season. So you're right. Like, the nucleus could change a bit, but having said that, if they don't win this year, I think you have to make that brash decision in a big-time trade. And if that includes trading a Marner or trading a Nylander, I think we're at a point where it's just not working with what they currently have, that you have to make that outside-the-box type trade anyways. But I get what you're saying. I just think they're young enough to prevail and have enough, strong talent in front of them to be able to compete for a cup for the next X amount of years.
Well, in the time I spent at Edmonton this summer, it was 2 weeks during the World Juniors, but it was enough. I really got the sense that Connor McDavid loves Edmonton. I heard that from the people. They're like, he takes his dog to the park. He doesn't hide. He's out in the community. I don't think Connor McDavid's ever going to leave Edmonton. Does Austin Matthews like playing in Toronto? What sense do you get there?
It's the big time question. If you were to pull me on my gut right now, I say he resigns. You have to be realistic with this. It is the Mecca. It is Toronto. He's got endorsements up the yin yang. He's everything in this market. I don't know what else you could want. I don't know anybody, and I understand where he's from. Like, I just don't know how that would be appealing going to a market like that. If your goal, your end game is to win a Stanley Cup. Now, things could change. They win the cup this year, maybe his ideology changes. I just think from that perspective, if people are thinking it's going to be Arizona, it's just not going to be Arizona. And then you start to wonder what other teams could be in the mix. Maybe it's the New York Rangers. I just think from that point of view, Toronto makes too much sense. He's going to make all the money he can ever dream of and wish for. And he knows he's going to have a pretty competitive team every time around because A, he's a really damn good player, and B, they sort of owe him that too.
We got a couple minutes here to talk about the Blue Jays. You mentioned you hangy, we bangy. I came into the show very optimistic, and our viewers and listeners kind of just talked me out of the fact that the Jays would beat Seattle. We don't know that they're going to play the Mariners, but they're like, we don't want the Mariners in this best-of-3 series. So how do you feel going into this wild card series this weekend?
Everybody's scared of Ty France, apparently. No, like I rather take my chances with the Seattle Mariners than say the Tampa Bay Rays. Any Blue Jays fan, anybody who covers that team, you want to stay the hell away from the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't care if it's at the Trop.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's at Rogers Center. I will take my chances with Seattle. I think my hopes and expectations are, it's been a long, long time since the Mariners have been in the postseason, that they're sort of that team. They're just happy to be there. And so they really don't fulfill the expectation. It's a different pressure. It's a different game in the playoffs. There's a reason why you go out and get a guy like George Springer. He knows to play. He knows how to play, I should say, in these pressure cooker type situations. So I'm going to give the upper hand to the Blue Jays. I think having home field advantage is big. The rotation is going to be massive, clearly with Alek Manoah, Gosman. I don't know if you start a game 3, who you go with, Barrios or Stripling. I think Toronto is better equipped right now to prevail in that series and actually give Houston a run for its money.
Good. You've made me feel a lot better. From our viewers, Corey May on YouTube says, great guests on the RP show, as usual. From Earl James, he says, all the Leafs need is Mark Giordano at a discount, Dominic Hasek from a time machine, and they'll be okay. Nick, just tell our viewers where they can follow your stuff. They'll enjoy it, I know. Just give it a pump if you don't mind.
Yeah, at the Golden Muzzy on Twitter and Instagram. I just picked up a new gig full-time here with the Nation Network, so I'll be covering the Maple Leafs for the Leafs Nation, LeafsNation.com, and also Daily Faceoff, easy for me to say, Daily Faceoff. I'll be covering fantasy hockey for them. So pretty much in a nutshell, I'll be everywhere, including the NHL Fantasy on Ice podcast once again this season.
Awesome. Nick, thank you for this, brother. Enjoy the hockey and the ball.
Thank you. Yeah, take care. You too.
The Golden Muzzy, Nick Alberga, joining us from the T-Dot. We're going to have a lot of fun next. We'll continue the fun right after this in overtime as the Moose rejoins. It's the RP show on the Game Plus television network, which is, by the way, anchored out of downtown Toronto. We are live on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and for the first time today, back live on the radio, WQEE, your home of Southern sports and talk, Metro Atlanta, 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
It's overtime here from South Florida, brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Football League. The Moose is here as we get back on track, if there ever was one. Sean in Vancouver. Come on in, Moose. We were talking about streakers. Remember that way back when?
Yes.
Sean in Vancouver writes in, He's watching on Game Plus TV, and he says, Kevin Harlan's call on the streaker a few years ago in a San Francisco game. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. Best streaker call ever. Interesting talk there with Nick Alberga. I don't know if you saw it. I mentioned the window. Is there any worry in Toronto that the window may be closing for this Leafs team? And he's like, we're at the start of the window, not the end of the window. And maybe they are. I haven't looked that closely. How would you answer that as the lifelong Leafs fan that you, because you know there is a window. Where are they in the window?
Well, and I'll speak as a lifelong Leafs fan, okay? I'll take the hat off from a media perspective and be a fan. And I would say the window, the beginning, we've been in the opening of this window since the 90s. When they started to get, better after Gilmore, and then towards the late 90s, they were pretty good late 90s, early 2000s, made a couple of conference finals, were routinely in the playoffs, and had really good teams. But in this window, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares is kind of starting to, be on the back nine of the career now and things like that. I would say, in terms of, since we've been talking so much baseball, I would say we're in the probably third or fourth inning, probably the fourth inning of this window. So I think you still got some time. Yeah. We're reaching the midway point of it, but it's not the very beginning and it's not the end.
I'm all for the discussion. And if the Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year, I'll be as happy as anybody because I'm not anti-Leaf. I get a kick out of poking at them because they're you and Clark's team. But I want a Canadian team to win. And yeah, so thanks for answering it that way. My cousin Christine is watching in Medicine Hat and says, baseball, football, hockey, basketball. It's a wonderful time of year. Yes, it is. I want to say something. Well, just one more on the CFL vein, by the way. Somebody wrote in, Earl was his name. He says, has anybody talked about the Rough Riders window? And I don't think there is a window in the Canadian Football League. And we didn't talk a lot of CFL today because we talk more football later in the week. And for heaven knows we talked all football Monday here. But with those insiders, I can't remember if it was on the phone I was talking to a guy or in person here recently. And he said, in the CFL, you can rebuild in a year. He's like, don't talk about a rebuild. Don't talk about this. And I think he's right because it's a 9-team league. And we saw Mark Trestman and Jim Pop come in, I want to say March of 2017, and took a team that had finished out of the playoffs the year before to the Grey Cup, and they won. Now, they had Ricky Ray at quarterback. Not everybody has that, but it can be done. So to say the Riders' window's open or closed or where, no. What you can say is they botched it. It's been botched. But it all kind of hinges on Friday night. And we'll, again, spend more time. I'll declare right now Friday's game, Sask at Hamilton, Canada's game of the week. That'll be the poll question tomorrow on Wednesday. But the other games are BC at Toronto, Edmonton at Winnipeg, Ottawa at Montreal. I'm sorry, those all pale to me. Now, they're important to the teams and their fans, but from a grander perspective, the final playoff spot kind of rests on that Friday night game. And back, well, Chris says, my cousin, she goes, just think, only 3 months and the World Juniors will be back. Yeah, baby, to quote Peter Marr. And we will be there. I'm interested to see if you'll be there, Moose. I know I'll be there in Halifax. Serena's going to be there. We're going to be on the air. But this has been an historic day for me to be back on the radio. Because a lot of things as we go, because I didn't even know when we went to air at noon Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain, if it was going to work technically and stuff. Should have known. Rhino Radio, my spirit animal, would have it figured out in Georgia, and he did. So we've been running there. And as I sit here in a Blue Jays shirt, you got the show logo on. Everything's for the last going on almost 4 years. 855 of these shows, it just come to full circle in a lot of ways. And that I didn't want to be locked down to one team. I didn't want to be locked down to one league. And we can sit here on any given day and talk NFL, CFL, NHL, MLB. We could have as good a baseball discussion as anybody and just have fun and spend a half an hour on streakers, for the love of God. I'm not even done on that. And I think that's why the insiders and these older football guys call me. I think they just like the stories, man. And they were in a lot of these venues too. But I could sit and do 2 hours on streakers and people running on the field. I just gave you my 2 highlights. The guy in the wheelchair in Vancouver and the lady at Taylor Field that lost her kid and didn't even realize it was in the middle of a game. Like, whew. Hey, and there's Ryan O'Radio. He's still on it. He's watching at WQEE saying, awesome show. Maybe you should speak for a second in the 90 seconds we have left, Darren. Which means a lot to you, too. You're the guy that wanted to be on TV, radio, live streaming, podcasts. And as of today, thanks to Ryan O'Neill, it's happened.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And it's just the beginning. So it's cool to be on, and it's cool to have a group of new listeners there outside of Atlanta and in Newnan, Georgia. And I can't wait to see where we go next.
Jeff in Winnipeg says, I still can't get over the streaking wheelchair guy. LOL. You should have been there. I was trying to call this thing. I was trying to broadcast it. Oh, and then the trade for the Regina Pats, Sam Aremba going there. My God, we can literally talk about anything, man. We can play defensive hockey, fire wagon hockey, you name it, we can bring it. You want to play defensive, offensive? We'll do it. Tuna's just in my ear. 30. He's so nice.
I know.
One of our new guys. Okay, Moose, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for this. Have a great one.
Check in with you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you to Nick Alberga. Thank you to JP Jeff Paterson. Most of all, thank you to you, the viewers and listeners. And a special shout out to Ryan O'Radio down there in Georgia. We'll see you all tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus and WQE.
Who has more fun than us?
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.